Hi everyone, my name is Sienna and I am the Sustainable Production Assistant here at Albert. And in this video, I will be showing you how to use Albert's Carbon Action Plan. In this walkthrough, I will be covering how to create an account, how to fill in the Carbon Action Plan, and where you can find further help resources. So first, I'm going to tell you a little bit about Albert. So we support the industry with eliminating its environmental impact, as well as developing on-screen content that is compatible with a sustainable lifestyle and industry. On our certification toolkit, we have two main tools. The carbon calculator is a method of measuring your carbon footprint, and the carbon action plan is a method of reducing your carbon footprint. They are separate tools, but in order to achieve Albert certification, you must start your carbon action plan during pre-production. And a mandatory part of the carbon action plan is that you enter a draft footprint. This is the Albert login page. If you don't already have an Albert account, you can press this button here that says create an account, and you'll have to fill in an account request form, and a member of our team will be able to set this up for you within 3 days. So I'm going to sign into my account. Here, if you have multiple permissions, they'll all be displayed here and you can decide which account you'd like to go into. We have a few different types of accounts, but it's likely that the main ones you'll need to know about are production company accounts. We have 3 tiers of production company accounts. As a user, you can create, edit, and view all productions that you are assigned to. As a reviewer, your permissions are exactly the same as a user. This is usually a senior member of the production team, such as the PM or production exec. As a company admin, you can create, edit, and view productions. You can also create, edit, and view users within the company as well. As a broadcaster, commissioner, or funder, we only have admin accounts available. This means that you can view all the productions that have been assigned to your company as a broadcaster, but you cannot create or edit any entries. Again, if you do not currently have an Albert account, please use the account request form on the sign-in page, and a member of our team will set that up within 3 days. When you log in for the very first time, you will see the tips and tricks button up here. Please click this and it will take you to our production resources page. I'd recommend having a good read through this. Just click I am filling out a carbon action plan and it will ease you into using the toolkit. Let's look at your productions. When you log in, you'll be taken to your productions page, where you will see all the productions that you have been assigned to and the ones you've created. When you need to add a new production, click on Add Production button up here and you can begin entering the production details. I'm going to start by adding the production name. For the period name, this can be the series, filming block, or if it's a feature, you can just put in a year or just the number 1. It is basically anything that will help you and us identify this production. So I'm going to put 1. We ask for your production start dates and end dates. As you can see, the asterisk is at pre-production start date and post-production end date, so these fields are mandatory. If you don't know the exact dates for the production start dates and post-production start dates, feel free to put in a rough estimate and you can always come back in and edit these at the end. Please put in the number of episodes you have. If it's just a feature, just put in 1 and the approximate running time for each episode. So I'm going to put 30 minutes. For the question regarding budget, this is optional, but if you are going to enter in a figure, please ensure you're only adding numbers into this box. Your production company will auto-fill into the section under production ownership, so there's no need to add anything there. Please put in the broadcaster, commissioner, or funder. When you're writing anything in any of these 4 boxes, please begin writing, wait a second, and a drop-down menu will appear. Please select the correct name from the drop-down, rather than writing out the name in full. If your broadcaster doesn't appear here, please enter unknown into this box. So I'm going to choose unknown. Anyone you want to enter as a reviewer must have review permissions on their Albert account. Please contact albert@bafta.org if you'd like us to help add these permissions to someone in your production company's account or your own account. For the production user, your name will automatically fill in, so there's nothing you need to add unless you want to add in another user. So once you've filled in all the mandatory details such as the production type, genre, and production method, you can scroll down and press Save Production, and this will create the production on our system. If at any point you need to edit any of the details you've just added in, click the Production Details tab and press the button that says Edit Details. Feel free to come and edit in any of the details, such as needing to add another production user or changing the production start date. Now, let's look at the Carbon Action Plan. When you first come to the Carbon Action Plan tab, you will see all this information regarding the Carbon Action Plan. Please do give it a good read before starting. Now, we're going to add Action Plan. In order to qualify for the Carbon Action Plan, it must be started in pre-production. There are several reasons for this, but the big one being that it's a plan. You can't plan for something that's in the past. So what the Carbon Action Plan is essentially at the start is a yes or no questionnaire broken down into these sections. Once you've answered all the questions in the questionnaire, a star rating and a percentage score will appear under these two boxes. This is only for you and your broadcaster to see. It won't be shown publicly, and the breakdown is as follows. So, between 55 to 69% is 1 star, between 70 and 84% is 2 star, and anything above 85% is 3 stars. If you do not achieve above 55%, then Albert certification will not be possible. So, let's go in and have a look at the Carbon Action Plan questionnaire. We're going to go to the first section, and that's communication and engagement. The first 9 questions on this section are mandatory. If you press no to a mandatory question, you will see some red text appearing above this, and it won't let you progress without pressing yes. So, I'm going to press yes. It is now mandatory for UK-based productions for someone in the production team to have attended an editorial session. If you've never attended a training session before, or if you last attended one 2 years ago or more, you can sign up via the training section on our website or via the production resources page. We will always request evidence of the green memo. If a green memo wasn't sent out in pre-production or production, then certification will not be possible. And you can find examples of this on our production resources page. It's not mandatory to send out a final green memo at the end of production, but this looks at what you did well in your production and what you can do better on in future. You can also include what your final footprint was. The bottom 2 questions on communication and engagement are not mandatory, but I would recommend doing them if you can. We ask whether you're communicating your production's sustainable goals to the audience or industry via social media, blog post, or press release. We also ask whether you're comparing costs and savings as a result of implementing sustainable measures versus traditional production methods. Now that I've answered all the questions, I'm going to press Save Draft and move on to the next section, which is editorial. Again, it's mandatory for UK-based productions for a senior member of the editorial team to attend editorial training. For these questions below about dialogue or on-screen props, if you answer yes, then we'll answer follow-up questions. These follow-up questions are purely for data gathering purposes. The last question on this page asks whether your editorial team have considered what potentially unsustainable behaviours are seen on screen. Here, we're not looking for what positives are seen on screen, but what potential negative actions are seen that viewers might want to replicate. If you need to check something with another department before you can answer any of these questions, please remember to click the Save Draft button at the bottom, and you can always come back to it. You will not be able to get off this page unless you enter something into this free text box. So if you need to collect the answer from a senior member of team, you can write in TBC. So I've saved it as a draft, and I'm going to move on to the production, energy, materials, and waste section. A lot of these questions are self-explanatory, and we do have a lot of filter questions here, so I won't go into too much detail. For example, if you use the production office, then more questions will appear. I've saved the draft, and I'm going to move on to the travel section. Again, this section is rather self-explanatory, but I'm going to draw your attention to the use of mainland domestic flights. The question regarding mainland domestic air travel will pop up under this question. Does the production or any of its members, including on-screen talent, need to travel more than 200 miles? The emissions associated with mainland domestic air travel are so much higher than any other forms of transport. We only accept UK mainland domestic flights in exceptional circumstances, and we assess them on a case-by-case basis, So, if you're considering mainland domestic flights, feel free to get in touch with us and we can advise you about them. So, finally, let's go to the offsetting question. Recently, offsetting has been made optional for all UK-based and commissioned productions. Offsetting is not a get out of jail free card, but it is a way of offsetting all those unavoidable emissions, as it is sadly not yet possible to emit absolutely zero emissions in our current society. Whilst it is not mandatory for productions to offset, if you'd like to, you absolutely can. So I'm going to press yes and save draft. Once you've answered all the questions in the Carbon Action Plan questionnaire, please submit your CAP and a member of our team will request your evidence within 5 working days. So please just press this button down here. We will request approximately 10 to 15 questions for you to provide evidence for, and this is what it will look like once your evidence has been requested. You can upload your evidence under each question, like so. Please submit your Carbon Action Plan evidence at least 10 working days before you will need the Albert logo for your M board. We can approve or pre-approve your Carbon Action Plan. So, if you need the logo for your M board before you have all of your evidence, that is absolutely fine. We just ask that you submit at least 60% of the evidence that you have been requested, and you can upload and submit the rest of the evidence once you have it in order to complete certification. In terms of evidence, we generally want as few photos as possible. If you head over to our production resources page, we have a really handy CAP evidence guide, which I'm going to click on now. It details every single piece of evidence that you would need for all the questions that are shown on the Carbon Action Plan questionnaire. So it's really useful to show you what you need to upload and what we accept and what we don't accept. Thank you for listening to the Carbon Action Plan walkthrough. If you'd like to head over to the production resources page, scan this QR code and it will take you directly there. If you have any specific questions about your production, then feel free to email us at albert@bafta.org, and you can see that on the screen here. Thanks again.